Brock Osweiler to the Texans, 2016. The quarterback contract that defined desperation. In 2016, the Houston Texans were a playoff team with one glaring hole: quarterback. Enter Brock Osweiler, who had started exactly 7 games for the Denver Broncos, throwing 10 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Not exactly setting the world on fire. But the Texans, desperate for a franchise quarterback, handed Osweiler a 4-year, $72 million contract with $37 million guaranteed without their head coach Bill O'Brien ever meeting him in person. Let that sink in. They gave $37 million guaranteed to a guy their coach had never even had coffee with. The results were exactly what everyone except the Texans expected. Complete disaster. Osweiler threw 15 touchdowns and 16 interceptions in his lone season in Houston, posting a passer rating of 72.2, ranking 32nd among qualified quarterbacks. He was so bad that the Texans literally paid the Cleveland Browns to take him off their hands, attaching a second-round pick just to dump his contract. The Browns then cut him, meaning they paid $16 million for a draft pick. Osweiler made $21 million for his one season in Houston, about $1.4 million per touchdown, or $1.3 million per interception, depending on how you want to look at it. The contract was so catastrophically bad that it's now the textbook example of free agency gone wrong, taught in sports management classes as what happens when desperation meets delusion. As one anonymous Texans player told ESPN, when you meet him, you're like, this guy is awesome. Then you see him play, and you're like, what the hell? The Osweiler disaster set the Texans back years, and serves as a reminder that no matter how bad your financial decisions are, at least you didn't give Brock Osweiler $37 million guaranteed. Albert Haynesworth to Washington, 2009. The contract that defined laziness. In 2009, Washington owner Dan Snyder was convinced that all his team needed was a dominant defensive tackle. Albert Haynesworth was coming off back-to-back Pro Bowl seasons with the Titans, looking like an unstoppable force. Snyder, never one for restraint, handed Haynesworth a 7-year, $100 million contract with an unprecedented $41 million guarantee, the largest non-quarterback deal in NFL history at the time. What happened next was the stuff of NFL legend. Haynesworth showed up out of shape, feuded with coaches, and famously failed his conditioning test multiple times, unable to complete 2 300-yard shuttle runs. In one infamous Monday Night Football game, he literally laid on the ground while the play continued around him, creating the lasting image of his Washington tenure. In 2 seasons, Haynesworth recorded just 6.5 sacks and 42 tackles before being traded to New England for a 5th-round pick. He made $35.6 million from Washington, about $5.5 million per sack, or $848,000 per tackle. The contract was so catastrophically bad that it changed how teams structure deals, with more money tied to incentives and less guaranteed. Former teammate Chris Cooley later said he was trying to get released by the team. His goal was to come here, make a large signing bonus, and then get released and not have to do any of the work. Haynesworth later admitted he regretted signing with Washington, saying, "I was made for the 4-3 defense. I was a fish out of water. That's a $100 million fish who refused to swim." By the way, I'm going to be posting a lot here, so it would mean a lot if you subscribed and dropped a like for the algorithm. SamBradford's rookie contract, 2010, the deal that broke the rookie wage scale. Before the 2011 CBA implemented a rookie wage scale, top draft picks were making more than proven veterans before ever taking an NFL snap. No contract exemplified this broken system better than Sam Bradford's deal with the Rams. Selected first overall in 2010, Bradford signed a 6-year, $78 million contract with $50 million guaranteed, the largest guaranteed money in NFL history at that time. For context, Tom Brady was making $6.5 million per year around this time. The issue wasn't Bradford himself. He was a legitimate prospect who won Offensive Rookie of the Year. The problem was the system that allowed an unproven player to become one of the highest paid in the league. Bradford's Rams career was plagued by injuries. He played just 49 games over 5 seasons, throwing 59 touchdowns and 38 interceptions. The Rams went 18-30 and won in his starts. He made about $65 million from the Rams, roughly $1.1 million per touchdown, or $3.6 million per win. The contract was so catastrophically out of proportion that it became the primary example cited when the NFL and NFLPA negotiated a rookie wage scale in the 2011 CBA. Bradford's deal, combined with similar contracts for Jamarcus Russell and RyanLeaf, convinced owners and veteran players that the system needed to change. Today, the first overall pick signs for about half what Bradford received, with the money saved going to proven veterans. Bradford himself became the poster child for failing upward, somehow earning $130 million over his career despite never making a Pro Bowl or leading a team to the playoffs. As one NFL executive put it, Sam Bradford has a better agent than all of us combined. Deshaun Watson to the Browns, 2022. The contract that shocked even other NFL owners. In March 2022, the Cleveland Browns traded 3 first-round picks, a third-rounder, and a fourth-rounder to Houston for quarterback Deshaun Watson. That alone would be significant. But what truly shocked the league was the contract. 5 years, $230 million fully guaranteed. This wasn't just unprecedented, it was revolutionary. No NFL player had ever received a fully guaranteed contract of this magnitude. The deal came despite Watson facing 22 civil lawsuits alleging sexual misconduct, later settled, with a likely suspension looming. The Browns structured the contract to minimize the financial impact of a suspension, with a base salary of just $1 million in year 1. The results have been catastrophic. Watson was suspended for 11 games in 2022, then played just 6 games in 2023, before suffering a season-ending shoulder injury. Through his first 12 games as a Brown, Watson threw 14 touchdowns and 9 interceptions with a completion percentage under 60%. Numbers that would get most quarterbacks benched, let alone ones making $46 million per year. The contract was so shocking that Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti publicly complained it would make negotiations with Lamar Jackson more difficult. He was right. Jackson eventually received a fully guaranteed deal, citing Watson's contract as precedent. The Browns are now stuck with Watson through at least 2025, with dead cap hits of $172 million in 2024 and $115 million in 2025 if they cut him. As one NFL agent told ESPN, "It's not just the worst contract in NFL history. It might be the worst contract in sports history." The Watson deal didn't just cripple the Browns' cap, it changed how quarterbacks negotiate across the league, with fully guaranteed deals becoming the new benchmark for elite players. Christian Kirk to the Jaguars, 2022. The contract that reset the wide receiver market overnight. In March 2022, the Jacksonville Jaguars signed free agent wide receiver Christian Kirk to a 4-year, $72 million contract with $37 million guaranteed. The problem? Kirk had never had a 1,000-yard season or made a Pro Bowl. His career high was 982 yards and 5 touchdowns. The NFL world was stunned. Kirk was a solid receiver, but nobody had him valued anywhere near $18 million per year. The Athletic called it the most shocking deal of free agency. Pro Football Focus ranked him as the 22nd best free agent available. The contract immediately reset the entire wide receiver market, with established stars like Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill, and A.J. Brown using Kirk's deal as a floor in their negotiations. Within weeks, Adams signed for $28 million per year, Hill for $30 million, and Brown for $25 million. To be fair to Kirk, he's been solid for Jacksonville, posting 1,108 yards in 2022. But the ripple effects of his contract have been enormous, with the wide receiver market exploding to the point where Justin Jefferson now makes $35 million per year. The deal was so out of proportion that it's now cited as the textbook example of free agency inflation, where one team's overpay forces every other team to adjust their entire salary structure. As one NFL executive anonymously told The Athletic, "The Jaguars just screwed up the receiver market for the rest of us." The Kirk contract didn't just shock the league. It fundamentally altered the economics of the position for years to come. Ndamukong Suh to the Dolphins, 2015. The contract that defined buyer's remorse. In 2015, the Miami Dolphins made Ndamukong Suh the highest-paid defensive player in NFL history, signing him to a 6-year, $114 million contract with $60 million guaranteed. Suh was legitimately one of the best defensive tackles in football, coming off 4 Pro Bowls in 5 years with Detroit. The problem wasn't Suh's talent, it was the Dolphins' cap management. They structured the deal with a $28.6 million cap hit in 2016, a staggering 20% of their entire salary cap devoted to one non-quarterback. The results were predictable. Suh was good but not transformative in Miami, making 1 Pro Bowl in 3 seasons. The Dolphins went 22-26 during his tenure, never making the playoffs. The contract became such a burden that Miami cut Suh after just 3 years, eating $22.2 million in dead cap. At the time, the largest dead money hit in NFL history. Suh made $60 million for 3 seasons in Miami, or about $2.7 million per sack. The contract was so catastrophically mismanaged that it's now taught in sports business courses as an example of how not to structure a deal. The Dolphins spent years digging out from under the cap hell it created. As one anonymous Dolphins executive later admitted, "We thought one player could change our defense. What we didn't consider was how one contract could cripple our roster." The Suh deal didn't just fail to transform Miami's defense, it transformed their ability to build a competitive team, proving that even the right player at the wrong price can be a franchise-altering mistake. Javon Walker to the Raiders, 2008. The contract that defined Al Davis's later years. In 2008, the Oakland Raiders signed wide receiver Javon Walker to a 6-year, $55 million contract, with $16 million guaranteed. The red flags were numerous and glaring. Walker was coming off a season where he caught just 26 passes for 287 yards. He had suffered a serious knee injury 2 years earlier. He was 29 years old. None of this deterred Raiders owner Al Davis, who was convinced Walker could recapture his 2004 Pro Bowl form. The results were exactly what everyone except Davis expected: complete disaster. In his first season with Oakland, Walker caught 15 passes for 196 yards and 1 touchdown before landing on injured reserve. That's $16 million guaranteed for 196 yards, about $81,000 per yard, or $16 million per touchdown. Walker played just 3 games in 2009 before being released, catching 0 passes. His entire Raiders career consisted of 15 catches for 196 yards and 1 touchdown. The contract was so catastrophically misjudged that it became a symbol of Davis's declining judgment in his later years. As former Raiders executive Amy Trask later wrote, "Al's greatest strength, his unwavering belief in his own evaluation, had become his greatest weakness." The Walker deal didn't just waste millions. It exemplified a dysfunctional organization that had lost touch with the modern NFL, making decisions based on speed and faded potential rather than production and durability. Dishonorable mention goes to Bobby Bonilla, who's still getting paid by the Mets every July 1st until 2035, despite last playing in 2001. Wrong sport, but too ridiculous not to mention. If you enjoyed this breakdown of financial disasters, hit that subscribe button for more NFL content. Drop a comment with the contract you think was the most shocking, or one I might have missed. Thanks for watching, and remember, no matter how bad your fantasy football team is this year, at least you didn't give Albert Haynesworth $100 million to take a nap on national television.